In the name of God, hello and welcome. I'm Ali Zamadadi with the latest coming to you live from Tehran. Leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, has pardoned or commuted the sentences of a number of Iranian prisoners on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr, which this year falls on Sunday in Iran. Ayatollah Khamenei on Saturday agreed to a request by Iran's Judiciary Chief Ebrahim Raisi to pardon or reduce the sentences of 3,721 eligible inmates. The inmates had been found guilty by the public courts, the Islamic Revolution Tribunals, the Judiciary Organization of the Armed Forces, and the State Discretionary Punishment Organization. In an earlier letter to the leader, the Iranian Judiciary Chief had asked for clemency for the eligible prisoners on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr, which marks the end of the holy fasting month of Ramadan. Ramadan, the 9th month on the Islamic calendar, ends with the celebration of Eid al-Fitr, which is one of the main religious holidays in Islam. The occasion falls on the first day of the lunar calendar month of Shawwal, the start of which varies based on the sighting of the new moon by local religious authorities. The number of coronavirus positive cases who have recovered from the infectious disease in Iran has surpassed 104,000. Speaking at a daily press conference, Iranian Health Ministry spokesman Kianush Jahanpur put the death toll from the coronavirus in Iran at 7,359, saying the disease has taken the lives of 59 patients over the past 24 hours. He also noted that at least 104,072 patients have recovered from the coronavirus infection so far and have been discharged from hospitals across the country. He added that the number of people tested positive for COVID-19 infection in Iran has risen to 133,521 following the detection of 1,869 new cases since Friday noon. Jahanpur noted that among those undergoing treatment in medical centers at the moment, 2,633 patients are in critical conditions because of more severe infections. The spokesman said the situation in the southwestern province of Khuzestan is still critical. He went on to say that more than 781,000 coronavirus diagnostic tests have been carried out in Iran so far. The number of people infected with COVID-19 across the world has surpassed 5,306,000 and the death toll has exceeded 340,000. Now, the European Union is throwing its weight behind the World Health Organization and is urging every other country to do the same.
The global death toll from the novel coronavirus COVID-19 has passed 83,000. The number of people infected stands at around 5 million. Having wreaked havoc in Europe and the US, it is yet to blaze through the developing world. International institutions are calling for unity at this time of great emergency. The European Commission spokeswoman says it is not the time for finger-pointing or undermining multilateral cooperation.
European Union backs the WHO in its efforts to contain and mitigate the COVID-19 outbreak and has already provided additional funding to support these efforts. Again, global cooperation and solidarity through multilateral efforts are the only effective and viable option to win this battle.
US President Donald Trump has threatened to cut US funding for the WHO unless it commits to substantive improvements. He has accused the UN agency of promoting what he calls China's disinformation about the coronavirus outbreak. WHO officials have denied the accusations, and China says it has been transparent and open. Some say this is just another arena for the world's two geopolitical powers to spar in.
There's nothing more worldly and a higher platform than being a global health leader in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. And that's what China's positioning itself to be in. It has no right to do that because it hasn't behaved as a global citizen. It never has. But the President of the United States has, given China and its president a gift. And it's a gift that is a particularly harmful one, harmful to the world, but also harmful to the United States' national interests.
None of the WHO's 194 members have objected to the launching of an independent probe into how it managed the international response to the pandemic. The UN agency says it has received backing and a hefty pledge of funds from China to launch the probe as soon as possible.
Now, Brazil has become the world's second hotspot for coronavirus cases, second only to the United States, after it confirmed that 330,890 people had been infected by the virus, overtaking Russia. Brazil registered 1,001 daily coronavirus deaths on Friday, taking total death to 21,048. The outbreak is accelerating. Earlier on Monday, Brazil overtook Britain to become the country with the highest number of infections. It surpassed Russia on Friday, but is unlikely to pass the United States anytime soon. The true number of cases and deaths is also likely higher than the figures suggest, as the Latin America's top economy has been slow to ramp up testing. Far-right President Jair Bolsonaro has been widely criticized for his handling of the outbreak and is at the center of a deepening political crisis. Since the outbreak began, Bolsonaro has lost 2 health ministers after pressing them to promote the early use of anti-malaria drugs. Several high-profile public health experts have also left the cabinet. Many have been replaced by soldiers. Moving on, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has warned of retaliatory measures against the United States should Washington make trouble for Iranian tankers carrying fuel for gasoline-starved Venezuela. In a phone conversation with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani on Saturday, President Hassan Rouhani said if our tankers in the Caribbean or anywhere in the world face trouble caused by the Americans, the United States will also be in trouble in kind. He added that Iran attaches a special significance to regional security and emphasized that some U.S. measures in different parts of the world have led to unacceptable conditions, but we will never initiate any tensions or conflicts at all. He said Iran reserves the legitimate right to defend its national sovereignty and territorial integrity and secure its own interests, adding that we hope the Americans do not make a mistake. The Iranian president stressed the importance of strengthening joint cooperation amid the current coronavirus pandemic and said, however, that the United States of America continues to make wrong decisions and keeps its inhumane approaches. He once again emphasized that regional security should be maintained by countries in the region, adding that we have always expressed our readiness for more cooperation with neighboring countries. According to Refinitiv ACON tracking data, a flotilla of 5 tankers carrying Iranian fuel for Venezuela is approaching the Caribbean, with the first expected to reach the South American country's waters on Sunday. The shipments have infuriated the United States as both Iran and Venezuela are under U.S. sanctions. According to a senior U.S. official, Washington has threatened to make measures in response, especially against Iran, but did not provide further details. In a letter to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres last week, Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif issued a stern warning against the provocative acts by the United States, which has dispatched its naval forces to the Caribbean Sea with the goal of disrupting the course of the Iranian tankers heading to Venezuela. Zarif described the illegal, dangerous and provocative U.S. threats against the Iranian tankers as a form of piracy and a big threat to international peace and security. Venezuela's Defense Minister Vladimir Pardino Lopez said on Wednesday that Caracas will send planes and ships to escort Iranian tankers arriving with fuel to the country in case of any U.S. aggression. He added that Venezuela's Navy and Air Force will welcome the Iranian tankers bound for the Latin American country, seeing them through the nation's maritime territory and into port. Elsewhere in the Saturday phone call, President Rouhani called for promotion of Tehran-Doha relations in various fields, particularly in economic and commercial sectors, and said both countries should revive economic cooperation in line with health protocols amid the deadly coronavirus outbreak. The Qatari emir, for his part, said his country opposes any tensions in the region and would do its utmost to reduce tensions. Qatar strongly believes, he said, that regional security must be ensured through cooperation among all countries in the region. Al Thani then emphasized that Iran and Qatar should make efforts to further boost economic cooperation. And finally, Venezuela is fighting against the coronavirus pandemic amid a recent peak of the virus outbreak.
The government of Venezuela has reported a significant rise in the coronavirus cases per day. The number of cases have jumped to an average of 100 infections on a daily basis. Authorities of the Latin American country had managed to keep low the contagion figures during the first 2 months on the ongoing quarantine, but the situation has changed during the current week. President Nicolás Maduro explained that Colombia and Brazil, which have thousands of people infected in their own territories, have become a threat to the Venezuelan population since many Venezuelans have been returning from those neighboring nations to their homeland carrying the virus. Maduro added he would reinforce health security measures along the Venezuelan border. Officials say Maduro is doing the right thing to tackle the problem.
Colombia and Brazil are not cooperating with the health control in the border. Therefore, Venezuela will take extreme security measures by itself.
From a different angle, the opposition blames Caracas for the virus spread peak.
Venezuela has no coordination with Colombia and Brazil to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic, as diplomatic ties are broken due to Maduro's illegitimacy.
But experts blame the U.S. for the situation.
Washington has encouraged Colombia and Brazil to break relations with Caracas, and that stance is harming the proper care of the COVID-19 spread among these nations.
Venezuela had flattened the curve of contagion for many weeks, but is now experiencing the peak of the virus spread in its territory. Authorities pledged to ramp up efforts to prevent the calamity of a real pandemic. Jesus Silva, Press TV, Caracas.
That's it for me now. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. Good night.